Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Perform Happy podcast. I am hanging out here with a legend in the gymnastics space, especially when it comes to college gymnastics. This woman in front of me is just such a superstar. So I can't wait to dive in, pick your brain, and figure out how can we be as good as Hannah Scheible. Welcome to the show, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. I was just taking a little peek at your meet scores online, which I know is like the
Yeah,
worst thing that ever happened to gymnastics confidence.
I know.
Oh, because you're like
Yeah.
every score I ever have, anyone can look at it anytime. And I was looking, I was like, holy cow, this girl won everything her whole life. So
Yeah.
that's like really amazing. And I can't wait to get
Thank
into the
you.
mind of someone who's obviously put under
Yes.
pressure. So
Yes.
would you tell us, like, just starting at the beginning, how
hmm
you fell in love and then how you kind of went down this journey of being such a phenomenal gymnast?
Yeah. So I was coached by both my parents in my club career. I also had two other event coaches. But obviously eat, sleep, breathe the sport of gymnastics, especially when I was coached by both of them. But I found the drive of just like wanting to win ever since I was really, really young. I won a few meets early on and I was just so excited. I just got so driven by the idea of winning and working hard and seeing hard work paying off from a young age. I was always going at it. I was doing gymnastics at home, doing gymnastics on the trampoline, in the gym all the time. It was my world. It was my world. Yeah.
Yeah, all of us, right? You once you fall in love, you like can't shake it into
Yeah.
deep into
Yeah.
adulthood for me. So, okay, so you were always a competitive human? Were you like out
Yes.
for blood with board games with your family? Like,
Absolutely. Yes. I am a competitor in everything, not just gymnastics, card games, board games, all of it. Yes.
mhm. So I notice a trend, and tell me if this is true for you, but I notice those kiddos who come out the gate swinging and they get some medal,
Yeah.
the pressure increases, and
hmm
there can be moments where parents are dealing with a really bummed out kid, even in second place
Yeah.
or with a
hmm
good routine, but not that didn't feel
Yeah.
perfect. Did you have any
hmm
spots like that in your career?
Definitely. I mean, there were moments where, yeah, I was just not satisfied if I wasn't coming out on top. And that was just the driving force behind, you know what? I guess I just got to get better. That's just what it is. If this is what I want, then I have to be willing to work and go get what I want because nobody's going to hand it to me. I knew that from a very young age. It was like, nope, if this is something I want, it's just something that I have to go get myself.
And that's something I noticed, like with your content on Instagram. You're not
Yeah.
out there being like, we won, we won. You're like,
Yeah.
work hard, work
Yeah.
harder, keep working
Yes.
hard. I mean, that's a theme I
Yes.
see. And like you as a person, you're like, no, you just get out there and work.
Yep. Mhm.
And that I think is what some people miss is that those super
Yeah.
talented kids are like, I'm just going
Mhm.
to win. And if I didn't win, then there must be something
Yeah.
wrong with me. Did you
Right.
ever have that feeling
Yeah.
or were you always in hard work mode?
So it's not necessarily that there's something wrong with you. It's just that there's more work to be done, right? Because just because you don't win doesn't mean you did bad, right? Because there's always something to learn from not winning. It should be looked at as an opportunity to get better and not as a moment of failure.
And okay, where did you get that mindset? How old were you? Who taught it to you?
I've had that for as long as I can remember, honestly. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and that is that combo. You guys, we have found the
Yes.
secret to success. So listen up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's that combo of I want to win. I'm
Yeah.
okay if I don't because
Yep.
it means it'll show me how hard I have to work.
Mhm. Yeah, so basically, like those moments where you don't win, you basically use that as the roadmap to success.
Can you give us an
Because you look
example?
at it, yeah. So basically, I would say comparing like my early years of level 10 to watching girls in the end, because it's just like, okay, so that's where I want to go. So then you look at yourself and you're like, okay, how do I form like this plan of how I can get to where they are? So like you look at what you want, you find that person, you're like, this is the girl I want to be. This is who I want to be when I grow up, right? And you look at that and you're like, okay, these are the skills she has. And what do I do? What can I do to go get that?
Yeah. And is it that simple?
I mean, it was for me. I looked at this girl, Anastasia Webb, because she's also a Region 5 athlete. And I watched her and I was like, man, she's going to Oklahoma like that. I want to be her. I want to be like her. So I watched, I mean, so many NCAA meets. I cannot even tell you. I've watched so many college gymnastics meets and I was like, yep, this is what I got to do. And then it did not matter what it took for me. I knew it was going to be hard, but I was so determined. I was like, nope, it doesn't matter. I know I'm going to fail. I know I'm going to have moments of discouragement, but I cannot let that get in my way.
Mhm. Yeah, and you just came out the chute like that. I bet your
Yep.
parents is I mean, is that do you sound like your parents? Do they talk the same way?
I think they're both also very competitive people, and I know I get that from them. But honestly, I think it was just being in the competitive environment really that just
Mm.
fueled that for me.
Okay, so you're at this gym that's like, we produce college scholarships. We produce the high volume level 10. So you're like, I'm 3 and I already know what school I'm going to. Like, I mean, is it that much? Like, not quite. Were you at least
Not
like,
quite like that. Yes, we did have a few girls before me, like when I was young. We did have a few go to the NCAA, but it wasn't as many as you might expect. Like we had 2 or 3 go D1, but it was really just me making my own way, really.
okay,
Yeah,
so you can be in a gym where it's not this legacy of
right.
scholarships, but if
Mhm.
you're the person who's on fire for that dream,
Yeah.
you're looking at it on YouTube every
Yep.
single chance
Mhm.
you get, you're
Yes.
deciding who you wanna be when you grow up, you're picking those
Mhm.
skills,
Yep.
and then you just get to work.
You just get to work.
Okay,
You
I'd love
gotta let
to
it get messy.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I'd love to hear about some of the mess and some of the failures because those are
Yes.
our best
Mhm.
teachers. So what
Yes.
would you say was, like, your biggest fail when you were in this
Mhm.
hyper, like, I'm college or bust, sort of maybe
Yes.
late level 9,
So
early level 10?
yeah. My first year level 9, I had a big mental block with my beam series, actually, both back handspring, back handspring, and back handspring loud step out. So I had a pretty consistent back handspring loud step out my first year level 9. And then it was the week before our first meet, and I went to do it and I just wouldn't go for it. Like there's no explanation as to where the confidence went in that moment. Like there was no signs of it before. I really had just lost my ability to focus or do it. And I just felt stuck. Know what to do because we had a meet that weekend. I was like, I don't know what to do. And so because it was level 9, we decided that I was just going to go back and do a back handspring, back handspring. Wouldn't do that either. So we basically had to start completely over the week of the first meet.
Mhm.
So you just get to this point where you're like, okay, so I either scratch beam or I have to make something work. And so the plan was, you know what, we're going to do what you can do to get your confidence back. Because for me, when I look at a mental block, you should be working with yourself and not against yourself to build your confidence back up. So you need to do that series about 1,000 times where you can do it to get the confidence back up in your brain. And then you can try to move forward. Because if you keep pushing when you don't have the confidence yet, you're only going to make the mental block worse. So I cannot tell you how many back handspring, back handsprings I did that week, but I ended up competing beam and I did just fine. So,
Yeah, but I mean, there it is. That's it. That
yep,
you if you follow your brain's lead, you trust
yep,
yourself to know, "Okay, I'm not
mhm,
ready right now. So what
yep,
can I do?" You find your progression that works for you that day, and then you just get
yep,
numbers, and it's literally
yep,
math. How
just
many
numbers.
how many of these
Yep,
can I do? Okay, that feels a little
yep,
better. Let's move it. That
mhm,
feels nope, not quite. Let's go
yep,
back. And you just
mhm.
keep
And
following
I
your brain's
played,
lead.
yeah, I played the back and forth game throughout the entire year, actually, trying to just make sure I could maintain it because the confidence, I don't know where it went. It just disappeared. It felt like it just disappeared into thin air. Not really sure how that worked, but it's like, you know what? If I'm going to get this back, we got to do the numbers. That's it. That's all it is to it for me.
Yep, and a lot of people say that, like, "Oh, it just
Yeah.
randomly disappeared. I don't even know what happened.
Hmm.
I could do it yesterday. I won beam with it, and now here I am, I can't do it." And
Yeah.
a lot of the time, like, I always encourage athletes, reflect and
Right.
find, what might not have set you up for success.
Yeah.
What like, just guess, "Okay, I didn't like my
Yeah.
leotard that day. I didn't eat
Hmm.
lunch I didn't like my lunch. I was tired. I had a science test. I was sick. My foot hurt." It's like, if
Hmm.
you look back, you can always find, a few little things that you're like,
Hmm.
"Really, that?"
Yeah.
But that and then, "I have a meet this weekend.
Yes.
that can get the
Yes.
self-talk sort of like, oh
Yes.
no, this is bad.
Yeah. So beam, for my first year level 9, it was like a big deal for me because like the harder skills were coming out, you know. So my first year level 9, like it was the hardest gymnastics I had done yet. And I was very stressed out about the meet in general because I wasn't sure if I was prepared. And then the stress, I guess, just hit the weakest link, which happened to be my confidence in my series.
Yeah. And so that there we go. It's like it wasn't random when the great news
Right.
about that is that you can control it. And
Yep.
that next year, when you're in that
Mm-hmm.
preseason, like the roller
Mm-hmm.
coaster's going up, the click, 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 you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to keep doing what I do in
Yes.
July, in
Yes.
November, and I'm going to keep doing it
Yes.
in January and in
Mm-hmm.
February, which is just follow my brain's lead and hit numbers.
Yes. And I actually had to repeat that process the next year because I was like, okay, we're coming up to meet season again. And if you don't want that to happen again, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're feeling and what you're thinking about because we don't really want to go backwards again.
Yeah. And if you do, you do, and you learn, right?
Right. Of course. Of
Hmm.
course.
And ideally, if you are paying attention, those cycles are smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yes. Yes.
And I always notice, like the kind of I call it the yo-yo confidence where you've got it,
Mm-hmm.
you lost it, you got it, you lost it. A lot of the
Yeah.
time you're like forcing through fear and you're
Mm-hmm.
sort of like chucking it because you're just like, okay, we got
Yeah.
to compete. And
Yeah.
then finally, when you get a chance to get the quality numbers in,
Mm-hmm.
it will stick.
Yeah. You have the authentic confidence and not just the confidence you put on your face when it's time to perform.
Yes, which we love that ace in the hole
Of
of like,
course.
I can game this and I know that when I get out
Yeah.
there, I'm going to hit it. But
Yeah.
let's not really stress everyone out to the point where we have to depend on
Right.
that. Let's
Yeah.
actually get the numbers in. And a lot of people are not willing to back it
Right.
up and get those numbers in. Did you
Right.
have any pushback on like it's season, you can't be on the low beam? Or was it like,
Not at all. Not at all. Because they knew, like, okay, she wants to compete and she knows that if she doesn't put in the numbers, she's not going to get her confidence back. So they just let me go.
yeah, awesome. I mean, you're like
Yeah.
such a freight train. They're like, you do you, girl.
Yeah.
Like, no one's getting
Yeah.
in your way. She's got dreams and goals.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then that growth mindset that's like,
Hmm.
you're not phased. You probably were
Yeah.
though. You lose your series. Did
Absolutely.
you freak out?
Yeah. Of course, because initially, like, you get your emotions get to you first, right? You're feeling everything. You're afraid. I was mad because I was like, what happened? Like, there's no reason why this should be happening right now. And then obviously sadness because you're like, well, this all this hard work that I thought I just put into this, I don't know if that's even paying off right now. But then once you start to think about it, you're like, you know what? This is a setback, yes, but I can't let this get in my way right now.
Hmm. Yeah. I got a mission. I'm on a
Yeah.
mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other big fails that you learned pretty valuable lessons from?
Yes. So when I was learning my blind half Jaeger, I didn't have any mental blocks with that skill necessarily, but I did have, I want to say a good 2 years where I was struggling, like learning consistency and all that. And it was the same exact mindset. I was on bars 2 hours a day, just working at it, trying to catch it. I would not leave until I would catch the bar, regardless of what that looked like. Peeling, not even close, hitting the bar, all of the above. But I was not leaving because same thing as my series, I was like, you know what? These numbers have to be put in at some point if I'm going to get consistent, so I might as well do it now.
And how were your coaches slash parents when you
Yeah,
were
so
in that
my
mode?
my mom was my bar coach. And so she was with me. She's like, if you don't want to leave yet, that's fine. I'm going to let you do what you feel like you need to do to get this skill.
Mm. So you ultimately were driving the ship in your
Yep.
your
Yep.
training.
My mom knew. She knew I wanted to go to Oklahoma and do gymnastics. And so she's like, nope, I know that this is part of what it takes, and I'm going to let you figure it out.
Hmm. Good for her. I know there are a lot of
Yeah.
coaches out there that are like, no, you have to stick to the plan. You got to do
Hmm.
this, or if you don't do it 2 weeks before, then you can't compete. And it's like, how do you
Yeah.
feel about those sort of inflexible gym policies?
I think it's hard for that inner competitor to come out in those environments, right? Because if you're not letting them fight for something they want, then they're probably just going to give up each year. You have to let somebody fight for it and feel motivated by even the smallest amount of progress.
Mm.
Because once you once you get rid of that opportunity to make progress in a longer period of time, it's so much easier to get discouraged.
Yes, giving them opportunities, I think, is
Yeah.
really key.
Mhm. Yep.
Now there is the other type of athlete who gets afraid and really shuts down and goes into avoidance
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like that's you. That's not how you
Not at
roll.
all. Not
You're
at
like,
all.
"Where's the fire? I'm walking into it. We got stuff to do."
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
what advice would you give someone who's like, "That sounds really good, Hannah, but I'm really scared right now, and I don't
Yeah.
know that I can do that."
Yeah, basically, when I look at fear, it's like the only way you can make it go away is to hit it right in the face.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
Because you can't work around it. The problem and the fear only gets bigger the more you avoid it. Because when you avoid it, that's all you're thinking about, right? And then you're not doing anything to make the problem smaller. And then you get more discouraged because it's not going away. And it's just this downward spiral, and the problem gets bigger, and you get more frustrated and sad with yourself. And so there just has to be a point where you're like, you know what? I know this isn't going to get better unless I take some action. And I know it's going to be really scary, and I know it's going to be hard, but you have to be willing to take that step of faith, because until you do, you're just going to be stuck.
Yes, I call it a leap of faith too, that it's
Yes.
you've put in the numbers, but I think it's important to also say you did it on a surface where your brain would let you be
Yeah.
successful, and you gave
Yeah.
yourself credit for
Mhm.
being successful on that surface. I know there's so many people
Yes.
who are like, "But my teammates are doing this, but I used to do
Yes.
that," and they're comparing themselves to this
Mhm.
past person that they think they can
Yes.
never be. Did you ever fall into that trap?
Absolutely. I mean, especially during the struggle, you're like, why can't I be what I was? I mean, I was so much better before. But the past isn't real, right? Like, you just have to focus on the right now. What can you control right now? Because that is the only thing that's going to make a difference in the situation is right now. The past is great. And honestly, it should be encouraging to know, like, yes, I can do that because I have done it. Right now, we aren't there, but clearly we can be there. So we just have to work.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, that work ethic. Um,
Yeah.
what keeps you working? When because you can't just be like pumped every day,
Of
right?
course not. Nope.
So what
Mm-mm.
are some of the things that keep you going when you're just like, "Oh my gosh, it feels like a
Yeah.
slog."
So the days that I would like feel sorry for myself for whatever reason, like maybe it wasn't a bad day, my thought process is, okay, yes, bad things happen sometimes, and that is okay. But do I really want to suffer the consequences for my inaction when I don't do what I know I'm supposed to do?
So you're always in that big vision. You're
Yeah.
always looking ahead to your mission, it sounds like, that
Yeah.
you're very clear on where you're headed.
Yes. Yep. Because you have to know your why. If you forget your why, then all motivation goes out the door. You have to know why you're doing something, because it really is the main driving force.
Yeah. Did you ever question yours? Did you ever lose sight of it?
I mean, I wanted to go to Oklahoma to do gymnastics since I was like 10 years old. So the hard part of my gymnastics career was always driven by that. Always driven by, nope, we're trying to go to Oklahoma. We can't let this get to us right now. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm doing that squat.
Yep.
I'm working in conditioning. I'm
Yep.
hitting one more rep because Oklahoma isn't gonna
Yep.
isn't gonna settle for less than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, now going into club, I mean, you first of all, I bet your recruiting experience was so fun. You had
Yes. It
so
was
many
so fun.
schools that wanted you. They were like fawning all
Yes.
over you. You had like 6 full ride
Yes.
offers.
I did.
Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that experience in recruiting?
Yeah. So my recruiting journey was nothing short of amazing. I mean, there were so many. I was probably on the phone for, gosh, probably 3 days straight when June 15th came. I mean, so many emails. I want to say there was probably a college coach in my gym every day, like that entire summer. It was a lot. But really, when I started talking to KJ, I was like, man, I really want to go to school there still. And I mean, I took my official visits. Oklahoma was my second of the 5 visits that I took, but I just knew it's like, man, I really want to go to school there. So,
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. 10-year-old you
yep.
was like, "Really? Really? Is this even
Yeah.
a question?"
Yeah. Yeah. It was really just a surreal moment. It's like, man, little Hannah would be so proud right now.
Oh my gosh, I know. And I think everybody, no matter where you are in your gymnastics
Mhm.
career or, if you're a parent, if you were to like pull little you out to take a look at
Yeah.
your life, maybe
Yeah.
even like the level 4 gymnast, bring out
Yeah.
4-year-old you and how impressed would
Mhm.
they be?
Yeah.
Like, you can do
I
what?
yeah, little Hannah would be so impressed, but at the same time not surprised
That's
because I knew. I was like, I got what it takes as long as I'm willing to work for it.
Mhm. Yeah, and that work, I mean, that's the thing is
Yep.
when you have the why and you
Yeah.
accept that it's gonna take work and you're
Yeah.
willing to have failures along the way on the
Mhm.
condition that you learn from them and get better next time,
Yes.
success is
Yes.
kind of inevitable.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
what is the big vision? So you've got 3 more years
Yeah. Of
of eligibility. So
course.
what are you working toward? What is exciting you right now?
My goal is to win regardless of what that looks like. I mean, my job is solely I'm focused on the team purpose right now. Like I came here to win for the team. We're chasing another national championship and really that is my goal. Whatever that looks like, whether it be working extra, like making a conscious effort to put extra in conditioning, whether that be succeeding academically, whatever that looks like, I'm pushing for a team national championship.
Mm. Okay. So for the kids out there listening who are like, okay, I'm fired up, just
Yeah.
listening to you of like,
Yeah.
yes, it's possible. Here's the formula. Go get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to win, if that's their
Yeah.
dream, if they're like you and they're like, I'm so competitive, what is
Yeah.
your best advice for here is how you win?
Yeah. Don't let that die. Do what you can to fuel that. It's going to get so hard when you have that mentality because you're going to see every imperfection as a failure when you have that mindset. So you have to just stay focused on why you're doing it and why you struggle and keep learning because once your eyes are forward, you just keep moving. You can't get discouraged by the setback. You can't. You can't let that get to you.
And it really is a balance. It's such a
Yeah.
balance between relentless pursuit of
Mhm.
that, that W, but
Yes.
also that self-compassion for when you're not
Yes.
perfect. And
Mhm.
mean, I know that's a big struggle for a lot of people that
Yes.
they feel like you can be happy or you can be
Mhm.
competitive. Do you find that you can combine the
Yes.
2?
Yes, I mean, that is something that took me a long time to learn. I mean, there were so many moments where I was like, wow, I feel like absolute failure right now. I mean, I'm just so discouraged. This didn't go the way I wanted to, but you have to look at it as a learning experience because, yeah, you win and you're like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. But even in those moments where you do feel like you fall short, there is still something to learn. And I'm sure you still did something well in that moment.
Yeah. And so now you're able to look back and find those
Yes.
good things, but
Yes.
maybe 12-year-old Hannah wasn't
Yeah.
as good.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can give yourself some slack if you're not as
Yeah.
good at finding the lessons
Yeah.
yet. But that's the ultimate in mental toughness is
Mhm.
being able to have something not go right. Ask yourself, what's
Yeah.
one thing I can do in this moment that will make this better?
Yes.
And you work.
Yep.
I mean, instead of getting stuck in the past or so obsessed with the
Yes.
future and what might go
Mhm.
wrong, you're just
Yep.
like in the moment. What's one
Yep.
thing I can do right now that will
Yep.
make this better?
Yep. Because the
Mhm.
thing for me was ask less questions and take more action.
Mm, love that. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes you got to ask questions. Sometimes you
Of
need the help.
course. Of course. But it's the what if, the why. No.
Mm-hmm.
No. What is right now?
Yeah.
What should you be doing right now for
Yeah.
your purpose?
Yeah. Why? I have a friend who says, why
Yeah.
is not a spiritual question. It's like not
No.
necessary. You don't need to
No.
know why. It
Nope.
just is what can I learn from it and how do I
Yes.
move forward? But why
Yes.
can get you stuck wallowing for sure.
Yes. Why is this happening to me? You don't need to know. All you need to do is focusing on making your situation better in the moment. That is it.
Yes. Okay. So what is for those, dreamers who want to go to Oklahoma, what
Yeah.
does a typical training day look like for you?
Yeah. So right now we are still in our little preseason phase. So we have morning conditioning, which is from 6:15 to 7 a.m. It's different depending on the day. And then we either have practice from 1 to 4:15 or 2 to 5:15.
Mhm.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then our day on the weekends, we'll have practice from 1 to 4, and then we'll condition from like 4 to 45-ish.
Which is kind of cushy compared to club,
Yeah.
right? Compared to level 10
I mean,
training.
honestly, I'm training the same amount as I was 20 hours a week. So it's the
So
same
you
for
were
me.
training 20 hours a week as a level 10.
Yeah.
So I know there are athletes who train 35 hours a week at
Yeah.
level 10.
Hmm.
What made that work? How
Honestly,
was 20 hours enough for you?
I had never trained over that, so that's all I knew, really. I mean, maybe if I had trained more hours, it would be different, but that's just what I was used to. And so I knew this is the time I have. So this is when I know I am putting in the work. And then I just have to trust in that I did everything I did to build the confidence in myself to compete well.
Yeah. Well, and it shows like you don't need more than that to
Yeah.
be a very, very successful gymnast.
Yeah.
And have you had any injury struggles?
Not
Wow.
like my entire club career was completely injury free.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah. I am not necessarily sure, but I was homeschooled throughout the majority of my club career, and I was sleeping, I want to say like 10 hours a night.
Mhm.
And I think really that was the main motivator behind why I was able to recover so well was the amount I was sleeping.
Yes. And was mama feeding you good food too?
Yes. Yes.
And that leads me to your major.
Yes.
So food, and
Yes.
you're studying to be a registered dietitian,
Yes. I
right?
want to be a dietitian. Yes.
What inspired you to do that?
So I love cooking. Absolutely. I mean, I just love the kitchen. I love learning about it. And I also love helping people understand like how food is just such it has such a big impact in quality of life. And so if I can put two of my big passions together, cooking and helping people live a better life, why wouldn't I want to do that as a career? Right?
Amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
just the fact that you said I slept 10 hours a night throughout my
Yeah.
gymnastics training.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people all the time, you want to get over your fear, get more sleep.
Hmm.
You
Get
want
more
to get over
sleep.
your fear, make sure you're eating enough in between
Yes.
events, you know?
Because overthinking happens way more when you're tired and hungry. So,
It's true. And you give up and you feel
yes.
hopeless and you don't have enough energy. Your brain is running on fumes. So how are you going to go
Yeah.
plowing at a vault table
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
So, it's you guys, listen. Hannah is
Yeah.
telling you parents to like make
Yes.
the high school schedule different. Like
Yes.
there are ways to be creative, to, switch periods or
Yes.
do something at the community college. Like there's
Mhm.
always creative ways.
Yeah.
Get more
The
sleep.
last 3 years, I was at a community college because I had finished my high school stuff, but made a conscious effort to make sure, like, no, I'm not taking the 8 a.m. class because I need to sleep.
Yes. And
Hmm.
and you also have this mission that you're
Yeah.
on, which is
Yeah.
like, I need to recover, I need to
Yep.
rest. And that's
Yeah.
part of your training. I ask people,
Hmm.
is rest part of your training? They're like, no. I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah. Another thing I used to do, I actually took ice baths twice a week, like before I even came to college. I was doing that in club too.
Why? What was the theory?
Why? Because I felt the benefits of it in recovery.
Yeah.
Really, I just felt stronger after I was able to recover faster just because of how it reduced inflammation for me.
Okay. So again, it's not random,
No,
like there's
no.
there's a lot of prehab out there that people
Mm,
don't look into because they
yeah,
don't feel the need and they're like, "Oh, that won't happen to me." But here you
yeah.
are living your life in prehab
Hmm.
formation, like
Yes,
we're going to condition like we want our joints
yes.
to stay healthy. We're gonna,
Right.
and I'm guessing you condition harder than anyone else on your team. No, we're not calling anybody
During
out.
club. During club for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that keeps your body healthy. You slept
Yep.
more. You probably ate
Hmm.
better quality. I mean,
Yep.
the way that you fuel your machine sets you up for
Yes.
success for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't want to look back and think, I wish I would have done this differently. I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that I was doing everything in my power to give myself the opportunity to do gymnastics at Oklahoma, whatever that looks like.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, now for the person who is, the high school level 9 who's had the
Yeah.
setbacks and they
Yeah.
have, had more fear, haven't had enough sleep and have had
Yeah.
some injuries, what suggestions do you give them, if they've still got that dream, they still want to go to
Yeah.
college?
Hmm. If you're willing to go through the fire, success will find you.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, the
Yeah.
people who are willing to get out of their comfort zone are
Yep.
the ones who have, the things that
Yep.
they want.
Keep doing what you're scared. Keep doing what you're scared of till it doesn't scare you anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. And it happens. You think of everything like
Yep.
your series,
Yep. If
are
you
you
think of
scared of
how
it?
crazy this sport is, like this sport goes against everything in human nature. None of it is natural at all. And so it's supposed to be scary. That's what makes it so special and so hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be scary. So let it scare you and keep doing it until it doesn't scare you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And then do something harder, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell people the best way to eliminate fear from gymnastics is to
Yep.
move back 2 levels.
Yeah.
If you never want to
Yep.
upgrade a skill, then you don't have to be
Yep.
afraid. But
Yep.
if you got big dreams, you're gonna have to walk into that fear
Yep.
for
You
sure.
have to let it be scary and you have to let it be hard.
Yes. Okay. Well, I want to get more into your mind, this magical
Yes.
gymnastics mind you have. What
Yes.
are some of your mental tricks and strategies that you use? Whether
Mhm.
it's to get through scary big upgrades or if
Mhm.
it's, you know, just getting ready for competition. What are some of your
Yeah.
methods?
So my pre-meet routine is definitely visualization for sure. So like just going through what I would do at practice, visualizing that, and then visualizing it in a meet setting being the exact same. So like making it feel the exact same as it does in practice, because when you're in practice, that's when your confidence is the highest, right? When the pressure is off. So I would do anything I could to make it feel exactly like practice, because in practice is when I have the most control. And if I feel like I have control in a meet setting, then I'm going to have more confidence in myself.
Okay, and how do you do that? What what is, if someone's like, that's great,
Yeah.
but I'm freaking out because it is the statement.
Yeah. It
So,
takes a lot of practice to try to visualize that stuff, because visualization is hard and sometimes it's scary, because some people, I mean, I struggled with it too when I started visualizing. I would visualize myself crashing. I don't know how that happens, but I found it so hard to focus. But if you work on it and really try to develop the ability to trust yourself and the numbers you put in, and your confidence is going to skyrocket. Because if you're in the gym doing everything you know you can do to be successful, then you have no other choice but to be confident in yourself. The doubt creeps in when you haven't taken advantage of your time at practice.
mm, yeah. Well, because if you have done literally everything
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
then why wouldn't you just accept
Yeah.
this is the best I can
Hmm.
do right now?
Yeah. You know you're going to be successful when you have no regrets. Like, nope, I know I've put in the numbers. I know I've put in the time. I have no choice but to be successful right now because I know I have set myself up for greatness.
Hmm. And that doubt, you're right. I mean, anytime someone like criticizes someone and you take
Yeah.
it personally, it's
Yeah.
usually an indicator that they have struck a nerve because you
Yeah.
actually do have the doubt because you haven't put in the
Hmm.
work.
Yep.
But I worry about that little perfectionist out there who's like
Yeah.
never feels like she's done enough.
Have I done enough? And the answer is always no. Yes. That used to be me.
Yeah, so
That used to be me.
can you put her at ease a little bit that,
Yes.
like
So
that.
that used to be me. I would like pound myself into the ground, just relentless. But there gets to a point where you're like, I am so consistent. There is no reason for me to do more. Trusting the consistency you built up over time was the thing for me. Because, like, yeah, I just stuck no move 3 beam routines in a row. Would I love to do 6 more? 100%. But the fact that I just did the first 3 almost perfectly should be an indicator that it's okay for me to be done.
Yeah. So you can accept. So you do understand good enough.
Yes, I do. I do now.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's something I think that's that line we walk of like we're
Yes.
pushing, but we also can admit this is good enough.
Yes.
This
I've
is
done
good
enough.
enough. I've done enough. Sometimes,
Yes.
just like I'm done. This is good. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to think of that bigger picture again. I don't need to pound my
Yep.
body. I don't need to
Yeah.
stress myself out when
Yeah.
that was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yes. It's the perfectionist that is like, I need to do more, always need to do more. But look at what you did. You did it almost perfectly. You are ready. You
Mhm.
are ready to go. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, how did you learn that? At what phase of your career were you at when you finally found good enough?
When it starts to be the same over and over and over again, you realize that you can save your body by doing the exact same, just less. Because you're like, I know I'm consistent. And it's okay that I let myself rest now because I've put in the work already. It's okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's a leap of faith too.
Yes.
Doing less
But
and
it's the
then
trust. It's the
Mhm.
trust that I developed in myself to be able to trust the consistency I had worked on for so long.
Mhm.
Because I know I had put in the numbers. I made a conscious effort to put in the numbers to set myself up to be in a position where I can do less.
Yes.
It's
And
kind
that
of like this the thing of hard work paying off is the ability to do less and still perform so well.
yes. And you built that foundation over the last decades
Yes.
to be able to
Yes.
say I can hit 3 and I'm
Yes.
good.
It does get easier as long as you put in the work in the first place.
Yes. Okay, so what are some of the most magical Oklahoma moments?
Oh gosh, I mean the first time I competed in Las Vegas earlier this year, that was just a dream come true for me. I was like, wow, I'm really doing this right now. This is insane. And then I would say the biggest moment for me was definitely Big 12s this past year. You know, we broke NCAA record. We had several tens. I stuck my vault, got a 9975. I mean, just that entire night was just it was a dream, you know? It was everything I had ever worked for, wished for, hoped for, all in one night. It was absolutely amazing.
And all that hard work was
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, okay, I get this question from that, those same kids who are like just feeling like life hasn't handed them the best cards,
Yeah.
that they've been
Mhm.
injured, they've had setbacks, and they have
Yeah.
this feeling like if I don't get into college for gymnastics, it
Yeah.
won't have been worth it.
Mhm.
What do you say to them?
Yeah. I love this just because it's like, well, I get asked that too when they hear about this mindset that I have. Well, like, well, you've been so successful, but like, what if you weren't successful? It's less about the success you have and everything about the lessons you learn along the way and the way you were able to handle challenges. Because that's what really matters in life. This sport, it's going to fade. We're all going to be done athletically at some point. But it's the things you learn about yourself and how you handle struggles that's going to set you up for life later.
Yes, and I'm always telling that to the parents who are like, "But she can't do her
Yes.
back handspring." I'm like,
Yes.
"But she's still trying. She's
Yes.
working. She's there. She's
Yes.
hitting those numbers on the low beam.
Mhm.
She's not giving up." Like, that's the
Yep.
kind of kid I wanna raise, is the kid who's
Yeah.
still after it,
Yes. After
even
it,
in the
whatever
hard
that looks like in life, in the gym, academically, whatever it is, just developing the work ethic and the attitude to adapt to trials and face them and problem solve it's really important in life after the sport.
Yes. I mean, there's statistics on athletes going into,
Yeah.
leadership roles in business. I mean,
Mhm.
we are excellent time managers. We are
Yeah.
such hard workers. We have very high standards for ourselves. We
Mhm.
work well with others. There's so many amazing things that I hope that, we go back to that idea of just being present, that everybody out there, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you have
Right.
a super shiny meet scores online,
Yeah.
like Hannah, or if you don't, and you've got all those
Yeah.
like, gaps in events and rough
Yeah.
seasons, and can you look at that and find those lessons and know
Mhm.
that you're coming out stronger because of it, not in spite of it? That's
Because
big.
when your memories of the sport fade, what you are going to remember is the challenges you overcome and the person that you are because of it.
Yes, it's so true. I mean, my career wasn't that shiny, but I remember being a leader on my team,
Yeah.
and I wasn't
Mhm.
praised for that. And
Right.
that's something that I hope coaches do more of, is they praise that
Yeah.
leader who's maybe not the top scorer on the team, but who
Yeah.
is the best influence on those
Yeah.
little ones that come behind,
Mhm.
and those character traits. And parents too, that we aren't just
Absolutely.
posting our scores on Instagram, we're
Yeah.
posting the hard
Yeah.
work. We're posting
Yeah.
like, how'd you get there? That's
Yeah.
what I
Because
wanna see.
people see in my career, they're like, wow, these scores, she's at OU. They see the highlights. That's not even half of it. It's not even half of it.
Yeah, what they don't see is the blood, sweat, and tears, the grit,
Yeah.
you, like, pushing
Yeah.
through and bringing people with you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so good. I feel like I could go and get my dream. I just have to start at 10. That's
Yay!
okay.
You just have to start tomorrow.
Got to start now. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that you can be inspired whatever your dream is, whether it's OU,
Yeah.
whether,
Yeah.
whether it's a certain career, whether you have no clue, but just like
Mhm.
tapping into that why for yourself.
Yep.
And
Find
some
your why and don't let yourself get stuck when things don't go straight according to plan.
Yes. Yep. And okay, one last question about the why.
Mhm.
What if someone's like, I don't have a why? I didn't wake up when I was 10 and already know. Like I knew when I was 12 I wanted to be a sports psychologist. It's like it was
Yeah.
clear I had my mission.
Yeah.
What if they don't have a mission? What should they do?
They should explore, honestly, because the motivation comes from the why. I mean, if you don't know why, then you're not going to know what to do, you know? So I would say they should find a goal. They should find something to strive for. Give them a reason to wake up in the morning and be excited,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And yeah, just having a goal even for your day, for your
Yeah.
practice. Just
Yeah.
start with that and see, okay,
Start
when I do
small.
this, does this help me get a little fired up? Okay, today I'm
Yeah.
going to stick one more than yesterday. Today I'm
Yep.
going to make 7 people smile. Like
Yeah.
whatever your goal is, just like
Yeah.
set it and go.
Hmm.
I love it. Okay, Hannah, well, if people want to fan along and watch you this season, where's the best way for them to reach you or follow you?
I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, follow Oklahoma Gymnastics on Instagram. Since we're in the SEC this year, we're going to be on TV more. They just posted our TV schedule. Our meet schedule is also on our team Instagram and our website. So they know where to find Oklahoma Gymnastics. So it's going to be a great year. Y'all should watch.
Gonna be awesome. I will be cheering for you. Thank you so much for
Yay!
hanging out with me and letting me in your mind a little bit.
Yes, it was so fun.
Yes, well, have the best season, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.